Hi, Kris Davies. Thank you so much for joining.
No problem.
Yeah, that chair still looks very cool. It's always a cool
Yeah,
chair.
I got quite attached to it during lockdown, fair play.
Good chair.
I still can't decide whether I'm more Bond villain or Ronnie Corbett though, so I just have to settle for calling myself Ronnie Goldfinger. I thought would be a good both, something like that.
Nice. That's cool. So, I mean, like, obviously, we were discussing a little bit before about kind of like what gigs are coming up since the easing of lockdown. And you mentioned that kind of exciting is that. That's really cool. So, is that coming up soon?
Yeah, so Monday, bank holiday, is my first time out now, so I'm looking forward to it. It's in a country club in a place, St Mellons, a place in Cardiff. So I've got a 5-minute slot, which I'm quite glad of because it's my first time back in a while and with an audience. So I'm probably going to play it safe and do my normal stuff. And just try and do my best stuff in that 5 minutes just to get a feel for it again. And then Thursday, I'm doing an open mic in Birmingham. So I'm going to start trying some of the stuff I worked on through lockdown and see how that works and go from there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing new stuff and trying all the kind of stuff I've written out, because obviously doing it online is more monologue-y, isn't it?
Yeah.
You haven't got as much feedback as you would with a live audience. So providing people turn up, that's going to be good.
And do you think it's going to be like obviously, like we've been doing online gigs for a while. What did you find the weirdest about doing kind of online gigs initially at the start?
I found it hard to pace because there's a little bit of a delay. So sometimes you're not sure whether people haven't laughed or whether it just hasn't got through on their end. And then you're kind of halfway through saying something else and someone goes, ah, and it kind of throws you off a bit. So yeah, so I started writing stuff a little bit more monologue-y to try and keep a pace. So I'll have to kind of undo all of that now in a way when doing it live, but it's good. And online stuff has really kept me writing, so I've been really grateful for doing it,
I'm glad you mentioned like the writing, because with the writing it's so interesting for inspiration. Some people get inspiration obviously from living life and what happens to them like day by day, week by week. So you still find it okay to find some inspiration from writing like that?
Yeah, because my normal stuff is probably quite, I look back from my kind of teenage years to now as a kind of comparison, but then in lockdown, because the normal way I live is I go to work, I come home, I do the stuff for the kids or whatever, then I either go back to work or I have a gig or I've got something else going on. So lockdown was like, no, I'm just home. And I realized that my family have all got this way of being, this routine that I'm not involved in, and I'm stood around like a spare prick. So learning to kind of get involved in all of that kind of stuff again was good, because it just made me realize how I personally need to be doing something all the time.
Sure.
Because I can't handle it. I mean, I just drank heavily for the first couple of weeks to try and counteract it, because I just didn't know what to do with myself in the night. Yeah, so all of that kind of stuff has been a bit of a journey, if you want to say, for me, really. So that's the kind of stuff I've looked at with writing. And I tried to do some online stuff at the very beginning, which was good, but that died out because I had nothing more to say. I couldn't find anything. So then, but then I started writing more then. So
and that's cool, because it's, as you say, like it's when you used to go out and doing gigs and things, and suddenly kind of it's adapting to another routine, which I think a lot of people were like, oh, what's this? Everyone's in their own routine, and then suddenly a different routine. I mean, within the kind of the tech side, do you? I mean, I know I'm not tech savvy, but do you know that? Do you feel like adapting is okay with that?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I did the first gig Zoom thing I did was a test on another night. There's like a live night normally, and they wanted to see if it would work. And it shouldn't have shocked us because it's just like a video chat, isn't it? But the first time we did it, we're like, oh, it's working. We're all there. Oh, and it was like, ooh. so it was kind of cool. But I've noticed other people have kind of evolved. Like I from my mother, she was screaming with the TV before lockdown, and now she's like this weird techno megalomaniac who can do all this different stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I just think it was some people just needed the right motivation. So anybody who said they couldn't work stuff, just take away all their family and friends, and they'll soon learn how to do it. You know what I mean?
So true. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been something to adapt to. I did Zoom. Obviously, I've had to use Skype for work in the day, and then we did like the house party thing and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, and family Zoom quizzes. So gradually, it became a normal thing. You know, it was weird at first, and then it was just like, yeah, and I can't really. I don't think we'll go back. I think we've all kind of moved on to that kind of thing. You know.
It's cool that you said, because it's kind of one of those things where it's obviously online gigs are great right now, and then it's cool that live gigs are coming back, because that's what obviously we all want. Do you think in the future that they can kind of work both, or do you think kind of online gigs are kind of just kind of in between, and then it can go live, or?
I think they could kind of work in tandem. I think if people think about it, if you have a night, you know, you could do an online thing as well. And people, if you build a night, a live night, then and a regular audience, and they can get involved with the acts online then, and you could kind of incorporate the both, do a live bit, and then the next couple of days you do an online thing. So I think it could work definitely. And you know, it's for comics. I mean, like I've met you, I've met lots of other people in the London area and things like that. So it's really beneficial. So it's great for networking. So I think it'll carry on because, you know, it's nice to do an online thing. Then it's really nice then having met you to come up and do something live. And I think that's the same for a lot of people, I think, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's true. It's amazing, like how many I would have never met, for example, yourself, and like doing gigs, you know, America, and like well, like all sorts. So, I mean, with the it's a weird thing because everyone is like getting so creative at the moment of where we could do live gigs. I've seen my friends go, oh, we're doing parks and bins, under trees, under this, and I would have never thought of this before. Like through like the comedy that you've done, where's the kind of the weirdest place, strangest place you've done a gig ever? Would you say?
Probably two places. Well, the first weird place, but it was really, really cool, is on this farm in West Wales, and they converted the barn and put a stage in and everything, and it's all outside in the open, and you're gigging, and then they've got like a pig on a spit roast going around, just cooking behind you, and their own gin bar and all this sort of stuff. And the farm is lovely, but it's one of these places where they have school groups in, and they introduce them to the animals before they slaughter them to eat them. It's kind of letting them understand the facts of life, really, you know? So it's either, I think you decide there and then whether you're going to be a vegetarian or not, you know? You're petting his animal, and next thing you know, you're eating it. Yeah, that was quite bizarre. And then the other one was Cardiff there's a brewery, craft beer brewery, and they had like a brewery yard, and they just had like a pallet and a gazebo, and they tried to do a thing of Glastonbury, but it was great, but you were too close because the bands were playing as well, and they were blaring out, so no one could hear. You were like shouting your set at everybody, and it was like craning to hear, and you could see people listening, and then a song would come on that they love, and they kind of start. And then you're just trying to, so that was a bit bizarre. I think that's possibly the weirdest one. Not the roughest one, but the weirdest one. Because I played lots of rough ones.
What was the roughest one, I would say? I mean, that's pretty hard to compete with sort of like dead pigs and roasts and music.
Yeah. I got two. I think my worst one ever, my worst one ever was my own gig that I'd set up. And it was really, really early on. And I used to work in a youth club in a YMCA, and they had like a theatre there. And they needed money for the venue. So I said, well, I'll put a comedy night on and we'll raise some money. So it was all good. I set it all up. my mother said, "Oh, I'd like to come," and then she booked out the entire front row. The whole front row was my family, and it was right as Brexit happened. So I put all the tables out, but the only kind of tablecloths I could find, because it was like a bring your own booze event, was Union Jacks. So the room looked like a Brexit party venue. I was thinking, oh, it's the wrong message. But also Wales had done really well in the European Championship. So I went off and had a few pints, too many. And it was like early on when I was doing comedy, and I got absolutely shit-faced. So I was only supposed to do 10 minutes. I did 25 minutes of utter shit. And my mother, the whole row of my family were watching me. I think my wife was doing that. And then I started doing in jokes about my wife that no one else would get. It was horrendous. And because it was my night, no one could get me off. No one would tell me to get off. I was like, yeah, I did 25 minutes. I woke up in the morning. I was like, oh. So embarrassed. And then that was bad because of those reasons. And then the other one was a place called Estragun Lice, and it was a rugby club, and there was about 80 to 100 people in there who all completely talked over me. And I just went for 10 minutes with no one paying any attention to me at all. And that's worse than people not laughing at you, I think. People just not giving you any attention. Now and again, someone would look up and go, ugh. And it was, that was bad.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Was the image of you the next day going 25 minutes.
I know, and I looked on the group of all the comics, and I was looking at the stupid. Oh, I can't believe I managed 25 minutes. Yay!
Yeah. It's a record.
Yeah, and then when I looked at it, I was like, oh my god. And in fairness, the rest of the people who played on the gig, they were really nice to me. You know, they understood I was green and all that kind of stuff. Apart from one of them who I knew quite well, who just said, "You just sucked all the energy out of the room."
Come on, that's hard. That's brilliant.
Oh yeah, but I had the whole dry mouth thing as well. When you drink too much and you're on stage, that's why I don't do it. Half of my set was me going. My mouth was so dry, and everyone just like looking at me like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. And you're like, look, it's a performance thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like performance. Oh, yes, I still cringe about it now. It took 2 years for my mother to trust me again, and then because the thing that made it really bad was because my stepdad's family, his sister had emigrated to Australia, and she had come over on that weekend. So this is the first time she'd seen me. You know, so my mother, this is my son, and he's absolutely slammed. Oh yeah, she didn't forgive me for a long time. But she did let me do a summer party thing that she had in work, and I did it well, so I was able to make amends at last. But the whole way through that gig, I could see her just looking, just scared to death.
Yeah. Don't do it.
You're not drinking again, you know.
Yeah, it's families. They're hard to kind of, once you've got a reputation. I know that with them, it's hard to change it, isn't it? So
It's my own fault. I mean, I should have just said I have a few pints, but because I didn't want to let my mate down and come in, and then I got involved with watching the match, I forgot they had the gig.
Yeah.
About 6 or 7 pints, and then went down and carried on drinking. And I hadn't put myself at the end, thank God, but I put myself quite far up the bill. So by the time I went on, I was legless. I was really, it was bad. It was really bad. So.
That's brilliant. And do you think? I mean, there's a lot of questions in it. Like it's all up in there. Do you think like Divergent not as exciting as this? But do you think we might go for a second lockdown for a winter period? Or
I think that's the last thing the politicians will want to do, because the economy. I think we'll have this local lockdown thing going on. I think they'll try and manage it like that. Hopefully that won't happen at all. But hopefully, if that does happen, it'll just keep people being a bit easy with stuff, you know. Because it's weird, isn't it? Because it's like my kids are going to be going back to school now, and they're scared to death because they've been stuck in, and their vision of the world is everybody social distancing. But then you go out, and everybody's like, ah! You know, and and no one is seemingly getting sick. But obviously people are, and people are dying. It's just, it's a tough thing, you know. It's a weird thing. And like you guys are in England, and we're in Wales, so we've got a different way of doing stuff as well, you know. So what we see Boris saying doesn't always definitely affect us. Because we went on holiday recently, we went on a camping trip around North Wales, and there was loads of people from England over. And this one night we was staying in Llangollen, and the campsite, there was just, it must have been about 5 families who were all camping together, and no one gave a toss about any kind of social distancing or anything. And it was like, well, they had rave music going all night. They didn't have a fire pit. They had an incinerator bin.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and they were proper rough. I mean, we were sat around having a chat, and a little girl, she must have been about 5, came and sat with us, and I said, "Hello, what's your name?" And she went, "Mandy." I was like, "Can I have a cookie?" I was like, "What? Can I have a cookie?" So she wanted a bloody biscuit. So I gave her a shitty biscuit because she didn't say please, and she just went, "This is shit!" and just pissed off. But it was mental because it was just like you were sat there thinking no one gives a shit here about any of what's going on, you know. And it was hard to believe there was an epidemic on when you were sat there, you know. And I think that's the difficult thing, is you go places, and some places are really great with it, social distancing, and other places just seem like they're going, yeah, whatever. And yeah, so I think hopefully if that does happen, local lockdowns will sort it out, you know. So.
And it's really true, because it's a good point in the sense that at different ages we see it in a different way. So example, like obviously like children, as mentioned, like and then day it's a bubble, you know, they're safe as far as they're concerned, and it's just adapting, and then, well, why is this happening or why is that? But really what's on the bigger scale, I mean, we're all trying to figure out in our own ways.
Well, I mean, we're allowed to meet outside in groups. We can have like a big group, but no bigger than 30. Yet when the kids go back to school, their bubble is 200 kids.
Right. Yeah. It really doesn't weigh up, I don't think. And
you can't blame people for being skeptical and going, yeah, whatever. But I mean, we can't be, I know. But I mean, you can understand people being a bit like, what? Because it's such mixed messages all the time. Yeah. So we'll see.
And on the scale of politics and children, how many children do you think Boris has in politics? Question.
Have you ever seen that episode of Only Fools and Horses? They go to that island in France, and it's clear that Uncle Albert has shagged his way through because there's just everybody looks like little Uncle Albert. I think there's an island, there's a place somewhere with loads of people with stupid floppy hair, but Boris is just, there's another one. Just put them on this island so the press don't find out, you know? There's little bumbling fuckwits running around everywhere. But I think we don't know the full extent of it, I don't think, you know what I mean?
I said, it's a really good way to put it. Oh my. I mean, I feel like at the moment it's kind of debated on 6, 7. I reckon if we go for another lockdown, they're just going to bring something up and go, oh, he's got another one, so someone could talk about that.
Does that say something? How could a man like that actually procreate? How you know? Who would want to? You know what I mean? It says a lot, doesn't it? You know?
It's true.
Maybe it's the grunge hairstyle. I don't know. What's going on with him? Yeah.
And do you think with the whole masks thing, obviously it's a big conversation with everyone, are you personally for them or against them, in between? Like, how do you feel about the masks?
I think I would rather wear them if they ask us to. I mean, we're not right now. It's not compulsory for us in Wales to wear them. So you go in the supermarket, and some people are, some people aren't. I've avoided supermarkets. I hate supermarkets anyway, especially now, because nothing annoys me more than the people that just stop in front of you. And it's even worse now, isn't it? Like socially distancing. But yeah, but I think schools are going to have to wear them, and colleges and stuff. And I don't really mind. The only thing I was thinking about it the other day, I was thinking if we do all have to wear them, what happens when someone doesn't? Everyone's wearing masks. You know, you're in a bank and just someone basically trying to rob the bank. You're not going to know who's robbing the bank because everybody's wearing a mask. That's going to be bizarre. But yeah, I think it's much of a muchness. I wouldn't kick off like the Americans are about it. It's just it is what it is. I think, you know.
Yeah, and especially in Wales because it's just sort of different times. Like it's only the last week that I'm experiencing this. It's twice now that I've been told off by the police on the tube for not wearing a mask, and I've been quite, you know, and it's like, okay, no, it's so glad you're not experiencing that yet, but I just don't,
Is it really hot? Is that make it more uncomfortable in the tube wearing the masks?
It's just, I think it's just not used to it. Like your nose, your throat, the whole, like it's just adjusting.
Such a bizarre visual, though, isn't it? Everybody in the tube wearing masks. That's so. We're gonna look back on that, and that's just gonna seem. Well, kids are gonna be like, that's just messed up. It's totally like a sci-fi film. It's nothing you'd ever imagine, would it? You know.
It's true.
You know, if you saw that in a film, you'd be like, oh, that's a bit far-fetched. I'm not buying that. You know, but then we live in it, aren't we? It's just crazy.
It's very surreal. It is. And where on social media, where can we find you? Like on Facebook, Twitter,
I'm on Facebook. I got Kris Davies Comedy. You can follow me on Twitter. I got to do more stuff on Twitter. I don't do much. I usually just put any videos I do. And I'm on Instagram as well, but it's mostly Facebook. And I post whatever gigs I'm doing, and obviously the live stuff I've done online and things like that as well. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and it's been so much fun. Like, and I'm sure you're going to continue like performing online and obviously see each other on the online kind of circle, which is really cool. And hopefully come to Wales at some point. Crew, come vice versa.
Well, I think I was saying I've got a night set up. I'm just waiting for the green light from the government so we can do it, and then it'll be a regular monthly night. So absolutely, and I want to try and bring people in, and it's going to be because I know we're all kind of trying to get the comedy scene up and running again. So it's going to be a ticketed thing. So I mean, hopefully generating a bit of a following. We're starting with big acts and things like that. But it'd be nice to get people from all over coming over as well, you know, because I mean I really want to go up to London because I was due to do London right before lockdown. I was really looking forward to it. I was going to try and do a few different nights over a couple of days, and then it was right as they said, right, we're locked down. I was like, So that's where I'd like to go. Yeah,
it's been a challenge, and it's really cool. Like just seeing everyone just going, do you know what, let's just get on with it, and excited to meet like everybody as well. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much, Kris Davies. So thank you.